Sonic Racing Crossworlds is officially a hit, and not just inside the community. This time it is so much of a hit that even got nominated for multiple game awards, is known by people who never even knew about the series, and even surpassed Mario Kart in user and IGN score. Now, the wavering validity of IGN's opinion aside, this game absolutely deserves the praise, and I already made a short video on why, so please check it out. In short, the game is fun, fast, and almost infinitely replayable thanks to the new crossworld mechanic, gadgets, vehicle customizations, numerous unlockables, game modes, and more, which makes this the most accessible Sonic game to date. In addition to that, Sega released their roadmap for the year, and as you can see, this game is not going to die anytime soon. But hey, as a Sonic fan that has been through thick and thin with this series, the thing that really kept me hooked on this game is their numerous callbacks and references through the rival interactions, dialogue, and especially their track selection, which I have a ton to talk about. Multiple levels from mainline to side series can be found here. There's actually way more than you may think. Some are blatantly taken, some are reimagined, some are even original, and today we will be figuring all of that out, or at least most of it. Starting with the info I have right now, it seems that each stadium is an original track, although it does have holographic elements of Green Hill throughout the level, probably referring to the fact that it's the first level of the game. When we play as Jet, he sometimes mentioned that the stadium is shaped like Sonic. Now, I don't know what kind of feathers he was smoking to say this, because it did not even look close to him, but maybe it's a matter of perspective like these optical illusion stuff. If I put my own headcanon into this, I'd say that this track is somehow composed of Sonic's idea of a first racetrack that then came to life by the Donpa. That would explain why we are able to see small holographic elements of Green Hill throughout the track. This guy somehow made cyberspace a racing track, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities. At first glance, I thought Rainbow Garden took place in a freed version of Planet WIsp simply because of the green nature aesthetic. This is until I noticed two things: the huts and the banners that can be seen in the background. These two elements can only be seen in one game, and that game is Sonic Unleashed in Adabat. There you can see the same huts and banners set throughout the level, so Rainbow Garden takes place in Sonic Unleashed. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's Water Palace from Sonic Rush. Now, you may be wondering why back-to-back is not being played here. The reason is, I think, the same that kept it from coming back in Sonic Generations Remastered: music licensing. The song was composed by the legend himself, Hideki Naganuma, and I guess Sega still doesn't want to pay royalties. It's a shame, but this level is still from Rush. Although, I wouldn't be surprised if Aquatic Capital from Songwriter Zero Gravity was used as a baseline for the level. The golden architecture really gives off the same feeling. Sky Road is a double take level. The track itself comes from Team Sonic Racing with the same name and all, but the track in that game is sort of inspired by Rooftop Run. Specifically, the air balloons and the flying air fleet can be seen in this track. If you have been following the Sonic Kart racing game since the beginning, then you will know that Roulette Road has been a mainstay since the start of this series, from Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing until now. The level is based on Casino Park from Sonic Heroes. In the past iterations, the music and level design stayed completely unchanged from its debut. Only Team Sonic Racing had a pretty cool remix of the track, but the level designs still stayed the same. Crossworlds finally decided to change both, but not by much. Only the first half of the level has been changed, and since it's a crossworld, it is now even shorter than the original. I personally prefer the original despite seeing it so many times, but the remix of the song is my favorite of the bunch. This track could probably be considered as the chemical plant of the Sonic Racing series. I say chemical plant and not Green Hill because there's another level down the line that has just as much, if not more, representation than this one. From obvious to completely unexpected, Kraken Bay is the third crossworld in the game. It came from a game that I would have never expected to see being mentioned ever again, and that's Sonic and the Secret Rings. The level chosen from that game is actually named Pirate Storm, and the aesthetics in Crossworld is surprisingly faithful to the original. Sonic even references Zara sometimes. They added a couple more elements, such as the ghost from Sonic Adventure 2 that throws barrels at you, and a giant kraken at the end of the level. This is personally one of my favorite racing tracks in the game, with my only issue being the music. I don't know why they decided to make a completely different track when, unlike Water Palace, it seems that they do have the rights to this song, as No Way Through can be unlocked as a playable background track, but nonetheless this is still an amazing level. Next is the Planet WIsp Grand Prix, starting with a pretty neat callback, Metal Harbor from Sonic Adventure 2. This one is straight up took from the original. You have the gun mechs, the jet planes, the music, even the rocket launching at the end of the level is referenced here at the last lap, as Can't Stop What can be heard playing in the background. This one is a great pick and honestly pretty underrated choice. The second track of this Grand Prix, Sand Road, is another returning level from Team Sonic Racing, just like Sky Road. Unlike Sky Road though, this one is kind of a mismatch of multiple sand themed levels throughout Sonic's history. The music is from Sand Hill from Sonic Adventure, but the different architecture seem to be from Sandopolis from Sonic 3 and the desert levels from Sonic Adventure 2. The interior with the ghosts from that same game roaming around especially reminds me of Death Chamber. It could also be a reference to the ghosts in Sonic 3 and Knuckles that roam only at night. Speaking of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the worms that sprung up from the sand in that game can be seen here as well. I like this level because the track has been completely redone from Team Sonic Racing to add all these new references from two of the most beloved Sonic games in the series. Now, I have three answers available for this one. I can either be A. realistic and state the obvious that this is a complete ripoff of Coconut Mall from Mario Kart Wii. B. Be delusional and tell you that this is inspired by Station Square Mall from the Sonic X Archie comics, there's no way it's that. Or C. Simply tell you that this is an original level with a couple of WIsp balloons appearances throughout. The logical and fair answer would be A, but I'm a Sonic fan and Mario, so I'm going to pick C. Damn, they even have the same elevator things. Now, I know that this is probably a completely new and original level, but after seeing the amount of Sonic and the Secret Rings representation in this game, a part of me do believe that this is at least inspired by Night Palace from that game. The palace and the flashing light at the end of the corridor reminds me a lot of that level, but it's most likely original. I was a bit confused about this one at first. I don't remember it being from any Sonic game that I recently played. In fact, it looked more like Bowser's Castle than anything else. That's when I remembered about our Diet Coke version of Bowser, Zavok, in his final level. Magma Planet is from, or at least very inspired by Lava Mountain from Sonic Lost World. It is actually almost one-to-one, with the sole difference being that Magma Planet seems to be somewhere in space. Zaz even mentions how it reminds him of his own battle with Sonic. This may be considered as a continuity issue, sure, but the same thing happened with the placement of Space Colony Arc at Final Rush in Chao Generations. It is either a mistake on the level designer's parts or just a retcon. Either way, I can't see how it is not Lava Mountain. Hidden World again looks 1-to-1 to the original and is actually pretty fun. The music is also really catchy, unlike the original. I like the way they implemented the big Pac-Man-like enemies at the beginning as a symbol and at the end as an actual obstacle. The first 2 levels of this Grand Prix are pretty straightforward, starting off with Mystic Jungles from Sonic Forces. The thing that I like about this level is that it doesn't only take from Luminous Forests like I expected. You can find elements of all the versions of Mystic Jungle from Sonic Forces. That includes the water slides from Aqua Road, the Neo Casino-like lights from Casino Forest, and the giant snake from Luminous Forest chilling in the background. It even attacks you in the final lap, just like it did in Sonic Forces. Another fun fact, the first shortcut of the track directly mirrors the first separate path in Aqua Road. This racetrack is great and will probably be more remembered than its original, sadly. This one is probably the most straightforward level in the game, both as a track and its origin. It's simply Windmill Isle Day from Sonic Unleashed. From the level design to the music, there really isn't more to it. There aren't even any references to Windmill Isle Night that can be found, not from my research at least. So I don't know why they called it a Podos in general. It's a fun, chaotic level for sure, but as far as referencing its original material, it's kind of bare bones compared to the other Unleashed levels we're going to see down the road. I can confidently say this time that Wonder Museum is a completely original track. However, that doesn't mean references can't be found. On the contrary, you can find multiple references from completely different games, such as the Timu Twomps from Sonic Lost World, the statues used for the laser puzzles in Sonic Frontiers, giant echidna heads that look like the gold statue from Sonic Adventure, the Tornado, specifically the modern version at the first lap, and then the Tornado 1 on the last, which starts spinning in attack mode. I even think that the skeleton dinosaurs that gain sentience at the last lap are the same as the ones from Dinosaur Jungle, which yes, we'll soon get to. I'm sure there is probably more that I missed, so feel free to put them in the comments. Originally, I thought it came from either 2 levels from the series, one being more surprisingly accurate than the other. Seeing the train and directional spinning thing that sometimes change direction, my mind went immediately to Radical Train from Sonic 06. But the junkyard settings with all those pipes around and the sort of afternoon orange aesthetic didn't really quite fit the same, so that seemed to be way too much of a stretch. What did fit that description almost to a T, however, is a level from another Sonic Racing game that is not as talked as much as the others. The level in question is Death Yard Zone from Sonic Rivals. Like I said before, these 2 levels share a lot of elements. The afternoon orange sky, the pipes, the directional paths that change in time. The only thing that is really missing is the train station. Now again, I would be pleasantly surprised if this wasn't just a coincidence that they actually remember the existence of Sonic Rivals. That would also be a great way to confirm Sonic Rivals' canonicity, since that game is currently still missing from the official timeline. But I also think that if that was the case, Silver or any of the other characters from that game would say something about it. But the only 2 people who do are Eggman and Zaz, so I'm going to be realistic and say that this is original. Next up is Dragon Road from Sonic Unleashed. This level does what I hoped a Podos would do, which is strange because unlike that level which only has elements of Windmill Isle Day, Dragon Road is not named after its continent, Chunnan, despite having both elements from Dragon Road Day and Night in it. You start off on, well, the Dragon Road on the first portion of the level, Then you go through a giant lake in the middle portion, just like in the original Day stage in Sonic Unleashed. After that, you end off back on the dragon. Maybe the time spent on the dragon is what justified the name choice? Even the music playing here is a remix of the Day version. However, you may have noticed that it is not daytime. We are playing at night. More than that, the Dark Gaia Phoenix, which is a boss exclusive to the Werehog, can be seen first in the background before becoming a hazard at the lake section, using its burning wings to create small pillars of fire to block your path on the lake. He's some sort of deity, so I'm not going to question the logic behind it, but as you can see, this level does a great job combining all the elements of Chunnan to truly make it feel like a homage to the original. Ever since Apodos, the Unleashed levels have been leaning in more and more towards the night versions, this one being the top of it. Holoska, the third pick from Sonic Unleashed, is based mostly on Cool Edge Night, even the music is from that level. The only real elements here that came from the Day version are the pink ice spikes you first see at the beginning of the original. You can also theorize that the slide formation is similar to the last bobsled section from the Day version, but other than that, everything is mostly from Night. However, here is a fun detail that I believe most of us have missed and I have recently learned from a prominent YouTuber in the community, Sam Procrastinates. This level is not based on the Xbox 360 version. It's actually from the subjectively inferior Wii version. I think that the Aurea Borealis is what made most people realize this. I don't know why they decided to build upon that version in particular, but I'm definitely not complaining since that was the first version I played of Sonic Unleashed, and so that makes me really happy. Love to see them recognize the alternative versions. They did the exact same thing in Team Sonic Racing with the WIsp. So there have been talks in the community that suggested that Crystal Mine is based on Chaos Island, and I kind of see it. The rocky terrain and the clear sky are really similar to it, but I think that this is more of a situation of Sonic Team using its assets for a brand new level, unfortunately. However, that does not stop us from headcanoning a more fun explanation. So let's just say that after the events of Sonic Frontiers, Eggman, who didn't get a real chance to explore the island, found the rare minerals that he is now exploiting as he usually does.
Everybody super Sonic Racing, try to keep your feet right on the ground. When you're super Sonic Racing, there's no time to look around. We're just super Sonic Racing, running to the point.
Remember when I said Roulette Road was the chemical plant of the Sonic Racing series and not the Green Hill? Yeah, I present to you the Green Hill of the Sonic Racing series. Seaside Hill / Ocean Palace, or to be more precise for this game, Ocean View. This level has been completely milk dry ever since the beginning, with 3 different racetracks based on Seaside Hill and Ocean Palace in the first Sega All-Stars Racing. The count then got reduced and transformed with only one completely original version made to fit with the transforming giving, but the levels came back with a vengeance as 3 out of the 4 versions of Seaside Hill make a comeback in Team Sonic Racing. Now, it's pretty chill with only one version that is also completely original for Crossworlds, but it's still crazy to see how much this level has been used. Weird fact too, ever since Transformed, Super Sonic Racing has been used specifically for the Ocean Palace levels, and I don't really know why. My theory is that since that game was more of a Sega game than a Sonic game, maybe they just chose the most recognizable racing song for the first Sonic level. Why they kept using and remixing this song after that instead of using Seaside Hill though, I absolutely do not know. But yeah, the level is still good, and even though I've seen it 1,000 times, I'm still happy it's here. Now this track is one of my favorites. Pumpkin Mansion is an original level that combines elements of 2 of my favorite games in the series. The pumpkins all around outside the mansion and the ghosts roaming there are all from Sonic Adventure 2, or to be more specific, Pumpkin Hill. While the mansion itself, that when you go through a crossworld ring, is played upside down and the kind of invisible road lined up by flames that appears at the 3rd lap, are from Sonic Heroes Hang Castle and Mystic Mansion. They both mix perfectly to give a really solid racing track with a cool original song that solidifies the spooky Halloween vibe that both of these levels did. We open up the first track of the fourth batch of Crossworlds levels with Galactic Parade, which serves as a Starlight Carnival's representative from Sonic Colors. Like many other Crossworld levels, this one has been taken from a previous entry. This level is actually a retake on All-Stars Racing Transforms version, which has the exact same name. This track basically takes the first portion of the original level from Act 1 and turns it into a racetrack. Before that, you start off airborne until you enter and race in the ship for a short while, before exiting to the Magic Road. From there, the egg laser pawns will alternatively try to hit you with their lasers on each side of the road, just like in the original. You then end off airborne, dodging meteorites through space, similarly to the transform versions of the same level. The music is alright. The team went full EDM just like with Apodos, so it all comes down to preference at the end of the day. But other than that, it's a pretty good level overall. Another surprising pick from the same game, Dinosaur Jungle from Sonic and the Secret Rings is back as a Crossworld for Crossworlds. What a tongue twister. Just like Pirate Storm / Kraken Bay, I never expected to see this level again, and I sure am happy it's here. Again, the track really is focused more on getting the aesthetics right rather than fill it up with references, since the original really is just focused on being a kind of generic but really colorful prehistoric level, and the game achieves that greatly. The only real reference I think is back from the original is the fact that you both start off really early on water that you can ride on a sauropod's neck. The music is original, again, and that's kind of a bummer since Wicked Wild was already a real great fit for this one. And just like Pirate Storm, they do have the rights for this song, so I guess it was a decision from the team. But anyway, still a great track, and it's one of my favorites. Sweet Mountain from Sonic Colors is up next, and this is another one of my favorites. After popping out the travel ring and racing on land a bit, you end up navigating on Chocolate River for a quick minute before going back on land. After that is where the references come in. While you're racing, you can notice ramps that can launch you on one of the donuts that Eggman kept talking about in the original.
Due to cost restraints, some of the donuts used in this ride are of the day-old variety. We apologize for this cost-cutting measure and hope that you enjoy the ride.
After that, you come face to face with the boss of the zone in Colors, the captain's ship. Just like the original, he shoots a barrage of slow bomb candy at you that you got to dodge to reach the travel ring. Great track and great references. Now at first glance, this level seems to be original. It's a really stunning pink-red canyon with a lot of tight turns that we have never really seen before in a Sonic game. However, I do believe that if this level should have an inspiration at least, it would be from the 100th issue of the IDW comics. More specifically, the canyon where Sonic finds Blaze and Cream while trying to return the Warp Topaz. The canyon color and formation are really similar, only difference being that the IDW version is a bit more colorful. Not a bit actually, a lot more colorful. It's actually rainbow. It's also not impossible story-wise since it is now obvious that the Donpa can travel dimensions to make different tracks as seen with Cyberspace and Digital Dimension. And also this is after writing Tangle and Whisper has been announced, let's go. But it supports my theory or not, I don't know. Again, I don't truly believe that that is exactly where it's from, but I'm more sure that it's just an original level, but still it's a fun headcanon to think about. The last Sonic Unleashed and returning level of Team Sonic Racing, Market Street, is a cool and simple level. As you may have guessed, this level is based off of Rooftop Run Day. However, like all the returning tracks from TSR, the level design is completely different. It is shorter, yes, but they still kept the main part of Rooftop Run at the end, which consists of running on rooftops. Crazy, I know. The remix is also pretty neat. When I first saw this level, my first thought was immediately, oh shit, they brought back Coral Cave from Sonic Rush Adventure? No way! And I don't blame myself. The whole Crossworld thing being about traveling dimensions is a golden experience. I need to stop watching JoJo's. The whole Crossworld thing being about traveling dimensions is a golden occasion to explore Blaze's dimension. Heck, she even has an exclusive reaction for seeing this level, saying that this reminds her of her own dimension.
This reminds me of the islands back home.
But again, I believe that this is an original level, but some goat in the lore team must have remembered Sonic Rush Adventure, so they added a reference to it. It is still crazy that Sonic Rush Adventure is even mentioned in this period of time. Also, side note, the music in this level is absolutely amazing, especially the third lap. Go check it out outside the game if you haven't. Finally, after 19 years, Wide Jungle from Sonic Riders makes a comeback in a brand new look. It's HD now, but for real, it now has a completely different level design while still trying to keep the same feeling the original did. You first start with a big jump right out of the travel ring. You then race on different platforms until you get to the huge tube-like cave in a similar fashion to the original. But then after that, you get out of the cave and race a bit, and you now have a completely original section where you have to dodge multiple vines popping in and out of the ground before again performing another huge jump into the travel ring, again similarly to the original. In my opinion, this level is still really fun even though it's complicated to master. Surprisingly, this is the only level coming back from the Sonic Riders series. It's a bummer that there are not more from like other Riders games, but still, I'm still really happy to see any kind of Riders representation. Just another step closer to that Riders 4. This is my favorite Crossworld track of the game, not only for the level design but also the aesthetic of it. The track is based on the Ethereal Highway level from Sonic Frontiers, which was also the only original theme in that game. I actually believe that it's also specifically based on the level 4-9 due to the time of day and all the cars roaming around. Since cyberspace didn't really have music made with anything other than the cyberspace theme in mind, since 80% of the levels were recycled, they decided to not pick the track that played with that level and instead took Flowing from 1-2, the most popular cyberspace level of Frontiers, which was a great choice because the remix slaps. The level is awesome and I will always pick this one whenever it comes up. Alright, this one is pretty weird. So apparently this is Digital Circuit from 2005's Shadow the Hedgehog, and I didn't catch that at first. I'm not saying that I do not see the resemblance, especially when you put them side by side. Plus, Shadow is one of the 2 characters in the game to have a special line when entering this level.
Digital or physical, I can handle it.
So I do feel like this is legit supposed to be a callback. But I do feel that is also an afterthought. The level and the music look and sound more like a generic cyberspace level, with the only real callback I can find being the red lasers at the airborne section that can also be found in the original. But if I'm being honest, that is a pretty common obstacle for cyberspace-like levels. So I don't really know if this was intentional from the start to be a callback, but the level is still beautiful and fun, so at the end of the day, it's just a bonus for Shadow the Hedgehog enjoyers as myself if it was a reference. Blizzard Valley is the first track of the Chao Grand Prix. It is also the second and true ice level with ice physics. Now, there aren't a lot of ice levels in Sonic games. If I put a gun to your head and tell you to give me 5 ice Sonic levels, you'd probably start stuttering after Ice Cap. Which is why I believe this level is from a game most of us tend to forget. The level of the game in question that I'm talking about is Frozen Base from Sonic Superstars. It may seem like a stretch, and to be frank, it is, but I just couldn't ignore the multiple similarities and indications that these two levels have. Firstly, Blizzard Valley is obviously an Eggman territory base. The track is apparently on a snowy mountain mining site and is filled with Eggman's machinery. Storm even compares it to Ice Factory, which is an Eggman made base. Now, if you take a quick look at Frozen Base Zone, you'll notice that we are situated on a snowy mountain which leads to a cave. In Tails' version of the level, you can even find crystals, but I do think these are just regular ice crystals. I don't think it has to be said, but this is obviously an Eggman base. We literally ride one of his old egg mobiles at the end of the level. They even have the same red pipe infrastructure going on. Also, spoilers for an extremely obvious fact about a track that we will later get into. In the North Star Island track, you may notice that we are going through all of, or at least most of the zones in Sonic Superstars, with only a few missing. I'll get into more detail when we get there, but what is interesting is that Frozen Base is one of the missing levels in that track. Maybe because it was meant to be its own separate level since it was so underutilized in the original. This is a fun headcanon to go on, but again, I do believe that this level is simply an original idea. Well, it's Radical Highway from Sonic Adventure 2. There's not really a lot more I can say. No, actually I think that the middle section of the level is pretty neat. I like how it adapted the middle end section of the original almost to a T. You can even go on the lines of the bridge just like the original. Other than that, it's just Radical Highway, which would have maybe been a bit more exciting if we didn't have our fill in Shadow Generations, the literal last game before this one. Chao Park is a completely new and original level, which is mostly inspired by the neutral Chao. The track is not that long and only changes the last section of the last lap, so I think to compensate it ends up being really narrow with tight turns where your tight turning skills can be put to the test. I also think that the level is loosely inspired by Baby Park from Mario Kart. The short length and the childlike amusement park aesthetic is what really gives that to me. A pretty neat reference, if true, that I think I found is that if you check the background of the level, you may find buildings that look really similar to the ones in Station Square. Not only that, but if you look to the left, you can see what looks to be the top of a canyon, or to be more specific, a red canyon. It seems to be pretty far away from the city too, almost like you would need a train to get there. It may be a stretch at first until you remember that Chao and the Chao Garden originate from Sonic Adventure, and when you check the wiki, you will see that the track has another theme other than the amusement park one. It is also a coastal theme. Coincidence? I think not. I believe that Chao Park is located in a rebuilt, improved Station Square by the Donpa, seeing that his logo can be seen on the Ferris wheel. Just ignore the fact that it's also specified in the same wiki that is located near East Stadium, and this theory is actually flawless. In fact, flip it, let's just say East Stadium is at Station Square too. Even though I do really like this track and the fact that it's completely new, I do wish they added more references to the Chao Gardens and the adventure games. Right now, it feels completely detached from Chao history and more like a completely unrelated amusement park that happens to have a Chao event. But still, really fun track. Donpa Factory is the first track of the Egg Cup. It is also the only track where I can 100% say is completely original. There is no callbacks, borrowed assets, or references from anything other than the fact that it is, of course, heavily linked to the Donpa that was already a pretty mysterious character in the series who only appeared in DSR. It is said that this level is located in Donpa Kingdom and it is where the Donpa makes all the racing cars, which may imply that this is where we go to customize our machines. You can see throughout the racetrack a ton of cars and machines you would usually see in car factories. There is also the Donpa's logo splattered all around the track. You even enter the interior section halfway through the level, where you can find cars, I guess, being tested that act like obstacles for a shortcut. With all that, the level is fun, original, and plays around with a concept we don't usually see in Sonic games, which makes it really great. This is the strangest level when it comes to where it actually comes from. At first, I immediately thought that this was Botanical Kingdom from Sonic Rider Zero Gravity for its obvious forest aesthetic, the music being fit for a kingdom, and simply for the weird fact that there is no levels from that game. But that level ain't got any water slides or boats in the backgrounds, so then my mind went straight for Green Cave from the original Riders, but that made even less sense since that too don't have any water slides or boats roaming around, and there is already the Babylon variant in the game, so it wouldn't make sense to add practically the same level twice. This level looks way too much like those levels to not at least be inspired by them. So my theory is that this level is a weird mix between Green Cave, Botanical Kingdom, and Aquatic Capital, which is also a level from Sonic Rider Zero Gravity. I'm just sad that there is no level from that game, so this is my way of coping. As the name suggests, this level can be seen as an exposition of all of Eggman's most iconic creations. So instead of talking about how fun the level design actually is, because trust me, it is, I'll point out every reference and callback that can be seen in this level. Get ready, cause we counting them. The music used here is a remix of Eggman's theme in Sonic Adventure. From the starting line, you can see a huge panel of Eggman and his main robots, which includes Orbot, Cubot, Metal Sonic, and one of his egg pawns, which I guess is here because of his appearance as a playable character. Behind it, you can already see the Egg Fleet. This one is specifically from Sonic Unleashed. There is also an indication that we're airborne. Anyways, immediately after the countdown, you will meet the first obstacle of the race, which happens to be the Egg Wrecker, the first ever boss of the Sonic series. It doesn't hurt you, but it does get in your way and keep you in place for a while when you encounter it. After you pass that and fall for a bit, you will see on the sides a selection of Eggman's classic badniks, which include Motobugs, Buzz Bombers, and Grabbers. You then enter the Egg Fleet, where you will see at the middle of the stage the Egg Dragoon MK2, basically the one from Sonic Forces, just chilling at first. On the third lap though, he activates and attacks on a dash panel on a regularly timed basis. After passing or dodging that, you go past another corridor where you can once again see on the sides more of Eggman's robots, this time being its more modern creations. These being the Egg Pawn from Sonic Heroes, the Egg Robo from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is really the only one that is not really modern now that I think about it, and finally the Egg Gunner from Sonic 06, which I was actually surprised to see be displayed here. What lies right after all these legendary creations are seemingly 2 assault model Death Egg robots from Sonic Forces that are simply standing still and looking around the area. After passing them, we exit the Egg Fleet and transition to a flying section. In this section, there are multiple digital firewalls with Eggman's logo which attempt to obstruct you at the end of the flying section, where lies the original Death Egg robot from Sonic 2, which alternatively blocks the left and right sections of the entrance to one of the tubes from Chemical Plant. Finally, after getting out of the Chemical Plant tube on the last lap, there will be multiple egg wreckers swinging in front of multiple dash pads that you can avoid by crossing the finish line. That makes a total of 14 callbacks from Eggman's creations, which makes this the track with the most references in the game. 10 out of 10, amazing level. We have now arrived at the last non-DLC and Sonic related Grand Prix of the game, starting with my personal favorite track, Kronos Island from Sonic Frontiers. So best believe I will be going in depth for this one. Sonic Frontiers being an open world game gives an incredible opportunity to the racetrack designers to have complete freedom on the way, order, and even feel of the level, and they truly do not disappoint. The race starts in front of the Cyberspace 1-4 portal. From there, you first go through the first obstacle, Tower, a mini boss of the game which switches between slamming itself from a part of land where you can get item boxes and a ramp that could of course grant you a boost from the tricks. We then go on under the massive bridge-like mass of land until reaching and racing up the first tower of the game. After reaching the end of the tower, we then race on another mini boss of the game, Squid. He creates a path for the racers to go race on, just like he does in Frontiers. He then drops us off on the last section of the track where Ashura, another mini boss of the game, can be found just chilling in the background in the first lap. On the third lap, however, he slams on the ground and releases blue dash rings which propel you forward, exactly like it does in the original. In fact, while we're on the subject of the third lap, let me address the elephant in the track. The music flippin' slaps! The track used here is a remix of the revisited version of I'm Here, and just like the original, it rocks. I especially like the section where they added the piano during Kellen Quinn's long scream until he actually bursts into a louder scream, exactly on beat. I always preferred the original version of I'm Here, but after this remix I might have to recheck my preferences. The first lap track is really good too. The song playing is the Starfall Islands themed, tweaked a bit to fit more a racing track. The original was already a beautiful track, so I don't mind that they didn't change the song too much here. The great track design, the amazing music, the creative usage of elements from the original game, and the multiple references make Kronos Island the perfect Sonic Racing track for me, and is also the reason why it ends up being my favorite level in the game. North Star Islands from Sonic Superstars is the second to last racetrack of the game. As I said on Blizzard Valley, the level designers had the pretty neat idea of combining most of the levels from Sonic Superstars into one. Those levels being, in order, Bridge Island, Speed Jungle, Sky Temple, Press Factory, and Sand Road. The order stays true for the most part, with the only difference being that Sand Road and Press Factory has been switched. You can find pretty neat details, gimmicks, and references here, like the giant robot whale from Bridge Island in the background, the wind gimmick, and the block blaster type blocks that actually reveals a secret pathway to get to the hardest red ring in the game. And finally, the press machine that, just like the original, makes you jump when it stomps on the ground. The level is cool and full of references. It even uses the main theme of Sonic Superstars for the track. I still think that the level is pretty straightforward, but other than that, I still like it. The last level of the game is White Space, specifically the one from Shadow Generations. Like Chronos Island, White Space in Shadow Generations is an open world area, so even though it is not as open as Chronos, there is still a lot of room for creativity, and they again do not disappoint. The level itself is mostly us going through White Space, but what is interesting about it is how they emulated Shadow's Doom powers through the vehicle switches. You start on the ground, just like Shadow, and go through the Rail Canyon area, where you get shot down by Gun at the upper route. But later you switch to boat form, emulating Doom Surf. It's also in this area that you first see the Mephiles/Doom Morph goo that slows you down, but can be bypassed by using a WIsp, that simulating Doom Morph, which already was commented on looking like a WIsp. I wouldn't be surprised if they thought of that. After that, you go back on ground and finish the first lap. By entering the third lap, you'll see that the area completely changed to now having a red sky. That's because it's now reflecting the Doom Zone, the last act of Shadow Generation's story, where Black Doom has a stronger influence on White Space. In the game, for some reason, Black Doom's influence is reflected by Radical Highway's presence. So in this lap, halfway of the first section of the course is cut by a road from Radical Highway, which brings you up to a flying section which reflects Shadow's last and trademark power in Shadow Generations, the Doom Wings. From here, you'll see a ton of bridges, gun robots, and elements from Radical Highway just floating around, but more importantly, you can see the Doom Moon thing where Devil Doom resides in the background at its last stage. After the flying section, you land back on Chaos Island section for a short while before going through a small piece of Space Colony Ark's land, which then leads you back to White Space ground straight to finish line. The music used here is a remix of All Hail Shadow. Simply put, it's Crush 40's version of All Hail Shadow, remixed for White Space, which was then remixed again to fit Crossworlds' vibe. Just like Frontiers, this track does an excellent job at referencing its original level by using assets and elements from all points of the game, emulating Shadow's powers in it, all while keeping the racetrack varied, unique, and really fun to play. They even made both hedgehogs have specific dialogue for this level, reminding us that Sonic went through White Space as well.
Ah, come on! I fixed this! I never thought I would come back here again.
All of these reasons make White Space one of my favorite tracks in the game, and a fitting last track for those who haven't bought the DLC. And with that, we have covered all 24 main tracks of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. After going back and analyzing the level design, polish, music, and especially the passion shown for the series through the amount of sheer references in both the levels and the dialogue, to the point where even comics are in the playing field, I truly believe that I haven't seen this amount of creativity for a Sonic racing game since maybe Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. The track choice is really what surprised me. Before this game, I never expected to see levels from Secret Rings or Rush to come back, especially not for a racing game. Nor did I expect White Space or that one Lost World level to be reworked as a track. But this game makes me believe that the development team is really looking back at Sonic's complete history, not just bits and pieces of it, and I really appreciate that respect. But I can't really say the same for levels like Ocean View or especially Roulette Road, where we have literally seen that since Sonic started driving a car in 3D. Roulette Road being the only level in this game that I don't really like. The number of references here is insane too. Again, it's Sonic's entire history that can be seen in this game. I feel like Sonic fans of every era got that "oh, I know that thing" moment while going through these levels. I do think they could have gone a bit further for some, but the sheer amount in others compensates for the lack. If I had any wishes for the next one, it would be to have a more balanced level choice. Don't get me wrong, I do believe the level selection here is really good. Again, you can find most of Sonic's history, but I do think that, I can't believe I'm saying this, the classic era has been heavily sidelined here. I'm shocked that we still haven't gotten a modern version of Studiopolis yet, despite Mania's success, and I feel like Crossworlds would have been the perfect game to bring it back. I still have a ton of thoughts and stuff I want to talk about, like the music and the dialogue, but this is not the focus of this video, so I will keep them for my review of this game. Whenever that comes out, it might be too late. But for now, all you gotta know is that I'm really happy with what we got, and I truly believe that Crossworlds deserves all the love and praise it has been getting. If you think I missed anything, and I'm sure I did, or you have different opinions that you'd like to share about these levels, please write them down in the comments. I'm a big fan of theories and analysis, so don't hesitate about sharing yours. My channel is still small, so I would love to have different talks and debates with anyone that is willing. But that's gonna be it for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one, which will focus on our favorite anti-hero. Peace.